Section 1. Somewhere in San Jose, California, there's a house with stairs that lead into the ceiling, doors that open onto two-story drops, a window built into the floor, chimneys that stop just short of the roof, and corridors that twist back on themselves, leading nowhere. This house has 160 rooms. It sits on 4.5 acres of land. It took 38 consecutive years to build, and when construction finally stopped, it wasn't because the project was finished. It stopped because the woman who built it died. Her name was Sarah Winchester. She was one of the wealthiest women in America. She was a widow. She was, by most accounts, deeply afraid of something. And to this day, nobody fully agrees on what that something was. Section 2. Who was Sarah Winchester? To understand a house, you need to understand the woman. Sarah Lockwood Pardee was born in 1839 in New Haven, Connecticut. By all accounts, she was exceptionally bright. Fluent in 4 languages by the time she finished school, well-read, cultured, and socially at ease, a way that was unusual for a woman of her era. In 1862, she married William Wirt Winchester, the son of Oliver Winchester, founder of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, the company that made the Winchester rifle, the gun that, within a decade, would become known as the weapon that won the American West. The Winchesters were extraordinarily rich, and for a time, Sarah's life appeared to match that wealth, grief upon grief. In 1866, Sarah gave birth to a daughter, Annie Pardee Winchester. The baby died of a childhood disease called marasmus, a severe form of protein malnutrition, just 40 days after birth. Sarah never fully recovered from the loss. Accounts from people who knew her describe a woman who became more withdrawn, more private, quieter in grief than she had been in joy. Then, in 1881, William died of pulmonary tuberculosis. He was 43 years old. Sarah was left a widow at 41. No surviving children. A fortune worth, in today's terms, somewhere in the region of $500 million, and 50% ownership of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, generating an income of roughly $1,000 a day. Every single day, she had more money than she could spend. She had nobody to spend it with, and according to some accounts, she also had a very specific idea about what the money was for. Section 3. The Ghost Story Theory. This is where the story splits, depending on who you ask. The most famous version goes like this. After William's death, a grief-stricken Sarah visited a Boston medium. The medium told her that the Winchester family was cursed, haunted by the spirits of everyone killed by the Winchester rifle. Native Americans, soldiers, outlaws, countless dead. According to this version of the story, the medium told Sarah she needed to build a house, continuously, without stopping. Because if construction ever ceased, she would die. So Sarah moved west. She bought a farmhouse in San Jose in 1884, and she began to build. 16 construction workers were employed around the clock, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, for 38 years. The hammering never stopped. Not on Christmas, not on New Year's, not on the day her niece got married, not ever. The seance room, at the center of the house. Sarah reportedly had a seance room, a small, private space where she would commune each night with the spirits. She would receive architectural instructions, it is said, and the next morning, she would hand designs to the builders. This would explain the stairs that go nowhere, the doors that open onto walls, the windows looking into other rooms rather than outside. According to the ghost story theory, these architectural dead ends were deliberate, designed to confuse malevolent spirits, to trap them, to send them wandering in circles so they could never find Sarah. It is a compelling story. It is atmospheric. It has driven tourism to the house for over 100 years. There is just one problem with it. There's almost no contemporary evidence that it is true. Section 4. The truth is more complicated. Historians who have studied Sarah Winchester's life closely have found almost no reliable primary source evidence for the medium story. No diary entries, no letters, no contemporary accounts from people who knew her that mention the curse, the medium, or the nightly seances. The first time the ghost story appears in print in any significant form is in an 1895 newspaper article, and even then, it reads more like sensationalized gossip than fact. The story was elaborated and embellished in the decades after Sarah's death, when the house was converted into a tourist attraction, and the operators had a very good commercial reason to lean into the haunted narrative. So what is the alternative explanation? Theory 2. Grief architecture. Some historians believe that Sarah built continuously not because a ghost told her to, but because building was the only thing that gave her life structure after catastrophic loss. She lost her only child at 40 days old. She lost her husband 15 years later. She had no close family. She had enormous wealth and nowhere to direct it. She had, in short, an ocean of grief and no vessel to carry it. Building gave her something real to do, a project that would never be finished, a reason to get up every morning, a house that was always becoming, never complete. because completion would mean stopping, and stopping would mean sitting still inside her own sorrow. Seen this way, the Winchester Mystery House is not a monument to superstition. It is a monument to grief. One of the most expensive, extraordinary monuments to personal loss that has ever been constructed. Theory 3. She was simply an eccentric architect. A third group of researchers takes a more pragmatic view. Sarah Winchester was wealthy, private, highly educated, and deeply interested in architecture. She subscribed to multiple architectural journals. She had real opinions about design, and she lived at a time when women, even extremely wealthy women, had almost no formal outlet for intellectual ambition. Perhaps the house was her masterwork, her life's project, an ongoing experiment in space, light, and structure, carried out by a woman who had every resource imaginable and no social permission to be an architect in any official sense. The odd rooms and stairways to nowhere, some may be deliberate design experiments. Others may be the result of continuous renovation. Rooms built over, stairs rerouted, windows repositioned as the house changed shape over decades. It is not so strange when you consider that the house was never designed as a finished object. It was designed as a process. Section 5. Inside the house. Whatever drove Sarah Winchester to build, what she built is genuinely extraordinary. At its largest, the house had 7 stories. The 1906 San Francisco earthquake, one of the most destructive in American history, collapsed the top 3 floors and trapped Sarah in a bedroom for several hours. She reportedly took this as a sign that the spirits were angry she had been building too quickly at the front of the house. Construction at the front was permanently sealed off. She never rebuilt those upper floors. What remains today has 160 rooms, though the exact count changes depending on how you define a room. There are 2 ballrooms, 47 fireplaces, 17 chimneys, 10,000 window panes, 950 doors, 65 of which open onto walls or sheer drops, and 6 kitchens. The house contains some genuinely beautiful work. Stained glass windows, some of which were designed by Tiffany, are spread throughout the building. There are parquet floors of extraordinary craftsmanship, a ballroom with a hand-inlaid floor that Sarah allegedly never used. She never hosted a single party in the entire time she lived there. The number 13. Sarah had a recurring obsession with the number 13. Staircases have 13 steps. Chandeliers have 13 candles. Windows have 13 panes. Rooms have 13 windows. Whether this was a superstitious devotion to the number or simply an aesthetic pattern she favored, nobody knows. Some researchers note that 13 was considered a lucky number in certain spiritualist traditions popular in the late 1800s. Others point out that 13 panes simply fit the window dimension she preferred.